welcome to GenXCynics cast. Wait.
Not done yet.
It says we're
now
live.
It's counting. Now you may go.
It's already 13 seconds in here. What the heck?
I like to play.
You like to live dangerously. Anyway, welcome to the GenXCynics cast. We are live, hopefully. I am one of your hosts, Kalari Gamerchick, along with my fellow host.
It's me, Mario. No. I'm Axiom Wolf. Hello, how are you?
We have had a good week of watching TV, y'all. Like we said on the last cast, we got HBO Max, and we've been watching a lot of shows on there, but we took a break from that and went to Netflix to watch Masters of the Universe, is it called?
Yes, Masters of the Universe, something. I had another title underneath it. I can't remember what it said. Revelations, I think.
Yeah.
Is it what it said? So
it was interesting.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Warning.
We are going to discuss the whole series that we've seen so far, because it's only season 1, right?
Yeah, they only did season 1. They were talking about season 2. I think most people by now have seen it, though.
Yeah, if you haven't and you don't want spoilers, I suggest you either watch this later or move to the other half of the cast, because we're going to have other things to talk about.
Yeah, we always go off book.
Yeah, but we definitely wanted to talk about the things we liked and what we didn't like so much. I did not hate this series. I'm going to say this. There were certain aspects that I didn't agree with, but I really felt like I was taken back to the 80s when you would get home from school and want to watch Masters of the Universe. Or
they definitely did a good job. Like Kevin Smith is definitely the person you want to have if they're going to revitalize a show from the 80s.
Yeah.
He is definitely the guy you want to help you revitalize a show from the 80s.
Because it just felt nostalgic,
yeah.
You know. What I did not like, though, was who are writing these female fighting characters. That was the one thing that you and I could both agree on. Yeah. When you're in a fight, especially when you're one-on-one-ing somebody, you're not pausing to look and see who's fighting something else behind you.
Right.
This girl did it so much that my brain was like, what is she doing? You don't... I could see, like, every once in a while you get caught off guard by something, if something had whizzed by her. No, but if I'm fighting somebody, I am focused on who I'm fighting. I am not taking my eyes off of them and giving them an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, that seemed to happen quite a lot. There seemed to have been, and I think it was just, if you're copying the dynamic from the 80s, no one at any point ever, hey, let's stop this before it happens, even though we are very well aware of what's going on now. It kind of lets it happen, and then you try to recover or undo it. And I would have liked to have seen that left in the 80s.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them be like, hey, I know exactly what you're going for, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
It was like all those fight scenes, and they make fun of it in a lot of talks, where you get one person up against a whole group of people, and then they just attack one at a time, which never makes any sense, because if it's one against many, normally they're all jumping you.
Yeah.
I've been jumped. I hate to say it like it's casual, but when I got into a fight when I was younger in a pool in New York, I got jumped. They didn't wait and take turns. I had to grab somebody by his junk, make them back off of me so that I could get it one-on-one. And they realized I was crazy, and they left me alone after that. But most fights where you're getting jumped, everybody's pummeling you. So it felt like a lot of the one-on-one fights where they would pause to look at what somebody else was doing was unrealistic. But also, one character irked me more than others. And it was because they made her so weirdly emotionally driven. Like, I get that secrets suck. I get not knowing things about your alleged best friend and probably love interest sucked. But I like to think of it as, especially warriors, will understand the person needing to keep identity like that secret so it doesn't fall into their enemy hands. I hate the fact that they made her so angry at him for keeping a secret that should have stayed secret from a lot more other people. Like, if that information had fallen into the wrong hands, they could have killed Prince Adam at any point.
Yeah. Well, that was the funny part about it, too, is, like, the whole reveal that they did which I liked. I think if it was gonna come out, it was gonna come out him dying to save everybody.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that was what I had the issue with. What I had the issue with on it was everybody's reaction to that.
Yeah.
Like, her reaction was like, "Oh my God, that's my best friend." And you had no idea. There wasn't like a little bit of you that kind of suspected that something might be going on when you didn't see both people in the same place at the same time. I mean, they even gave a little nod that the mom knew, which I don't think they did that in the original.
No, I don't think they did, but I think that makes sense. I honestly don't think they underestimate what a mom knows, especially about our kids. We had them. They might be superheroes, they might have a super identity, but we know so much about our kids and their quirks and their behaviors. Even if their body mass changes like He-Man's did, we're still going to know our sons.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that nod because even Kevin Smith knows a mom's going to know her kid.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, and like the whole, like, I get like King Randor being upset. Okay, well, I didn't know that was my son, and now you lost him and everything. But the whole rage against the people that did know,
yeah,
it's like that's not very king-like. Hey, Ziana.
Hey, welcome to the chat, Zai. But for real, his whole attitude was arrogant anyway.
Yeah, it's like you're just ticked off because you didn't think your kid was doing anything heroic, and it turned out he was doing the very thing you wanted him to do.
Yeah.
So instead of being proud and banding together to deal with the loss, because now your greatest champion, the one that's helped you keep Skeletor's minions out of your kingdom, is gone.
Yeah.
It's like there's a big hole there that they didn't like. The fact that all the bad guys decided not to press the advantage, He-Man's gone, Skeletor's gone, they can't really take on all of us, let's band together and take over Eternia. It didn't happen because it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't seem to be a thing. Even if a couple of them did it.
Yeah.
That would have been enough because
they formed a cult.
Yeah, he got rid of Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
Tila left. All their major war experienced people were gone.
Every single strategist was gone.
You had nobody left to help you, and you just got lucky that the bad guys didn't decide to rally.
But on top of that, because Grayskull was revealed to be just the center of power, the sorceress had to protect that, and magic started dwindling.
Yeah.
Because they lost the key source of that when He-Man died.
Yeah.
So it was a freaking complete shit show, and instead of the king being wise about it, he decided to place a ban on magic, which made no sense.
Yeah, it's like your whole planet is based off that.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing of Eternia, even in comics, they did a He-Man Thundercat crossover, which was very well written and I thought very well done, where they did that Eternia is the source of all magic in multiple universes and places. That's why it's so highly protected, because the magic there is so powerful. If you did get a hold of it, you could change reality.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of like the whole all the people just going, know what, we're not going to do magic anymore. We're going to go technology. Derba 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 ger.
Yeah. And I did like some of the aspects of the cult because it kind of reminds me of some of the sci-fi stuff that we're personally doing with our stories. So I understand, giving people liquid technology that transforms them. I just think that they didn't do enough with Homeboy, with his whole cult thing, to make them even remotely anything but comic relief.
Yeah, I think it was Triclops. Wasn't it?
Yeah, Triclops. He was just so ridiculous. And it wasn't even to the point where I remembered him enough to care. It was just like he just kept trying to get in the way and getting knocked to the side.
Yeah. And the thing that I did like about it, though, was it showed how in a vacuum of something being removed, if you remove the thing that most everybody was... Hey, Aaron.
Hey, welcome, Aaron.
If you remove what people believe in or what they have to hold on to, they will gravitate to whatever is there to replace it.
Yeah, especially since, and this is what killed me about New Eternia as well, they still have people struggling.
Yeah.
You have this kingdom, you're banning magic, you're not taking care of the people, their champion is dead, but their greatest enemy is dead, and instead of coming together and giving them some form of hope and making sure that people are taken care of, people are still in such desperate times that they had to run to a cult.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing, like the guy and his daughter are going to become members of the cult that's basically going to turn them into a techno monster or techno virus.
Yeah.
And he willingly gave up himself and his daughter to it, and instantly turned against people that used to protect him. I was like, yeah, that is believable. That is 100%. I didn't bat an eye at that because that's what people would do.
In desperate times, definitely. And that really bothered me about Eternia. It's like, first of all, I always laughed at shows like He-Man and She-Ra back in the day anyway, because putting all your hopes in one source was never a good thing. And what I liked that Masters of the Universe Revisited, that's what I'm gonna call it, did is they started to establish how He-Man's gonna need a team.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's where Kevin Smith is going with it, with all these characters.
Yeah, because I definitely see he's laid some groundwork, and I get why people were upset at the ending, because we're watching it. We watched just sat down, we watched it all in one night.
Binge
watched it. First episode, the last episode. Overall, we are both happy with it.
Yeah.
I get why people were ticked off at the end of it, and it's like you gotta realize, it's like he didn't do anything that you normally don't do if you want a second season.
Yeah.
You ended on a cliffhanger, and then you get your second season so you can progress the story more. And there's so many ways he can go with that story that, yeah, I want more.
Yep. And as the people who survived The Walking Dead's cliffhangers, it wasn't like they didn't act like Adam was dead again. So I want to get that clear. I didn't get the vibe that he was dead. It was definitely a OF moment.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a moment where I was like, they're not just going to kill him again. There's no way. That would make sense.
You're not going to bring him back just to re-kill him 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
That's not what was going on there. You can see the wound that was caused to him was not it's a bad wound, but it's not okay, you're instantly dead wound.
Yeah.
He is still alive. He's just dealing with the shock of that happening.
Now, had Homeboy cut his head off or something, fine.
Like hand right through his chest or cut the head off and stuff, then yeah, absolutely. Everybody could be like, what the heck was that all about? He didn't. He did the one thing that you never see, and that's what I actually liked in the first episode. You actually see him stab Skeletor with his sword.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill as Skeletor, phenomenal.
Definitely.
Phenomenal. If you had to give me a choice, I want him or the original voice actor, which I'm sure he's not around
he's
anymore.
gone, yeah.
But as far as replacement goes, well, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, the other He-Man, there's a few He-Man shows I haven't seen, but the ones I have, they did a good job voicing Skeletor. So
yeah.
I'll rescind that a little bit. But he does a phenomenal job anytime he has to play a villain.
Yeah.
And
he's still my favorite voice Joker.
Yeah, and the fact that he actually comments on, now you're actually using the sword for its intended purpose as he's being run through. And it wasn't for, like, hey, you're actually stabbing, because, like, the whole 80s was, like, he never stabbed anybody with this sword. He's always using it, like, either a bat or a...
Well, like a magic... He shot energy from it a couple of times, too, didn't he?
No, I think he always reflected it. Like, he caught it and then swung it around again.
Yeah. Well,
but
they made
actually,
it for kids.
Yeah, he never actually, like, okay, I'm going to take care of Skeletor. And if it ever did, even in the reissue that they did, where they made Adam kind of like this Adam, where in the original 80s series, Prince Adam and He-Man looked exactly alike, only his voice got deeper and his skin got more tan. Where in the New Adventures, I remember what it was called, I'm going to call it New Adventures of He-Man that they did later on, they actually had a younger Adam look more like a teenager, and then when he transformed, he looked like a full-grown adult man.
Yeah.
They kind of do the same thing here. When he's Adam, he's very small, he's very, he's toned, but he's not muscular.
Yeah.
And then when he transforms into He-Man, he bulks up like everybody else that's had that ability. So...
And I will say this, I love the whole tie to Grayskull.
Yeah.
I love the origin of it. I like him being the first hero.
Yeah.
I love Tila's partner. I'm blanking on her name. Why did they get her right? And I feel like when it comes to writing black characters, they either go all the way wrong or they get it just right. But then they made Tila, who they're given the seeds that she's very special since she's the sorcerer's daughter. And don't even get me started on why the fuck they're keeping her lineage from her, because they've already established she does not like secrets.
They've always done that, though.
But they say she's special, but she's so ridiculous in her attitude. None of the way she acts makes sense. And it's like, I have written female characters. I've played female warriors, especially in Dungeons and Dragons settings. I hate how emotional people make them. I hate how irrational people make them, especially when they have special abilities. Tila is a great hand-to-hand combat. She is very hard to shake, as we seen when they went into Subternia and she had to face her fears. But every time she came up against the obstacle, instead of thinking it through and utilizing the people around her, she got this attitude that I can't trust anybody and I'm all alone, and it's just so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, and it started with that whole, like, everybody was fine up until they had to deal with the repercussions of Adam and He-Man dying.
Yeah.
And then it's just like all this attitude came up from out of nowhere. It's like, I get it. You're going to be mad that somebody kept a secret from you, but your instinct is to not band together as a family, but okay, I'm going to go my own way because I'm tired of everybody lying to me. It's like, it was one secret that was his secret.
Yeah.
If he didn't want to tell you and he wanted to try to keep you safe, which was basically the whole reason for that, that's his point. It's like, never at any point did he just up and be like, well, I can't do anything with Tila because I'm He-Man and I don't want her to find out. No, he like was even closer to her.
Yeah.
And it, like, she had the weirdest opposite effect from it, which I didn't
understand.
I didn't understand it, and it's the problem what I have with a couple of different stories. It's like the story's going along good. I'm understanding where the characters are. I understand how they feel. I can relate with the emotion, and then all of a sudden we turn into a brick wall.
Yep.
And it's like, how did that rationally happen? Like, how did, like, I get you're trying to go for like an emotional punch, but it's like that is not in the realm of what I saw coming
at all.
Like, it would have been better if things just maybe like slowly fell apart, and then it would have done well. Like, I don't know if he just didn't, like, he had to make the changes that fast because they didn't give him that many episodes, or what. But it's like, I've seen it happen in more than one thing.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, okay, all of a sudden now we're gonna go this way, and it's like, where did that emotion come from? Why are you so angry?
Exactly. And like I said, secrets suck. But I like to think that most people are, especially when you're in combat, if she was the man of arms, that means she leads armies. She understood strategically what needed to be done versus what needed to not be done. So for her to be upset about Adam holding who he really is from her without putting two and two together, that, gee, if I knew as many times as I was captured by Skeletor, held by Skeletor, because they did a lot of flashbacks of them fighting together and her getting into things, they could have found out through me his secret identity.
Or the fact that she's just mad that she never put two and two together. I mean,
and her pride just irks me.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing. I understand her having pride, but she's like, well, how come I wasn't involved in this? And it's like, except we get it. If somebody you're close to has a secret like that, but look at the history, because they didn't do a revamp of this. Like, okay, this is He-Man. We kind of know who he is from past stuff, but it's a different story. They like picked the series up like where they left off.
Yeah,
it was a redo. It was a continuation of the story. We already know who these people are because we've had past experiences with it.
Yeah.
You always treated Adam as kind of a joke and He-Man as kind of a more serious, like, hey, why can't you be like that? So why would he tell you that secret? Because if he does, it makes it look like he's telling you because he wants your approval.
Yep.
And it's like,
that was, she loses respect for He-Man as well.
and it's not, you wanted to know the secret, but you're not willing to, I don't know how to put this.
She can't accept why she isn't ready to have the secret.
Yeah, kind of, because it's just like,
if you
were ready to like, if it was a thing like you respected me and you respected He-Man, then I would tell you, because it wouldn't look like I'm trying to buy your respect by being like, oh, hey, I'm this super powerful character.
It's one of the things I liked about Spider-Man Far From Home. when the whole MJ Peter scene where he's trying to tell her that she's Spider-Man and she's kind of figured it out, but she wasn't sure.
Yeah,
The
I love
cute
that.
thing about that was she was smart enough to put it together, but she wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But she was just so cocky when he finally did confess to her that it made the whole scene cute.
Yeah, I love that whole part where like he's trying to deny it, and then they find out that people are in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, yeah, you're right, I'm Spider-Man." And she was like, "Really?" Because I was only like 80%
Yeah.
sure. You know, the fact that like she had 80% of it. She was, I'm almost 100% positive, but not quite.
Yeah.
Kind of feel it out. You know, you think someone of that esteem in He-Man would have tried to test the theory out.
Exactly.
You know, hey, I'm going to go do this, but the only person I'm going to tell is Adam, and then all of a sudden He-Man shows up to save me. It's like, well, who told you? Adam did. Oh, no, and that's not how that works.
Exactly.
He didn't have time to track you down, or if he did, he's got a very direct line to you. You know, it tightens the noose around the character.
And I mean, she never even, I mean, I know Cringer is Cringer.
Yeah.
But nobody thought, okay, Adam and Cringer, He-Man and Battle Cat. Yeah. She wasn't smart enough. She is literally the man at arms. I love military history and I love fighting things. To become a man at arms is hard enough as it is, but to be a female man at arms, especially because they didn't shy away from Eternia having a lot of the old human tropes about men and women either. So for her to rise to that ranks, it means not only did she have to be good at combat, but she had to be good at strategy. And nowhere in Teela's brain did she go, okay, this is my best friend. He has a cat. He-Man has a cat as well as his mount. Never once.
And the cat's the same color.
Yeah. Never once did she think to put two and two together, and it's like, you know what?
And we're really picking here.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like I said, we love the series. We would definitely want a season 2
Definitely.
of this. Can I show you two a little bit?
Yeah.
Because the camera keeps thinging the light, and I think with a little bit more light, it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah.
We're being very, very picky, and we're picking on a lot of the stuff from the 80s, too. Like
Yeah.
the little tropes that, like, nobody could figure out that He-Man and Prince Adam were the same people.
I mean, we came from the line where She-Ra was nothing but a carbon copy, and I heard that the new She-Ra blows it out of the water, so I'm looking forward to watching that. But it's just, I'm tired of seeing female characters that don't have real depth. One of the characters that grew on me, which was a shock, was Evelyn, because she was really one note when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I could not stand her back in the day because she was just evil to be Skeletor's henchwench.
Yeah.
And to see her without Skeletor, with Beastman being devoted to her, which I love that dynamic. I love that was.
You just like Beastman because it wasn't that Clancy Brown.
I even if it wasn't Clancy Brown, which I have to admit I love his voice work. I just like the dynamic that he stayed loyal to her.
Yeah.
You know. He didn't have to.
Yeah.
He could have formed his own mutant marauders and everything else.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm kind of hoping that we're going to see in season 2. That because at the end of season 1, Skeletor surprises everybody. He comes back. Hey, I wasn't really dead. I hid my essence until we could figure this magic thing out, and then I was going to come back. And he was all his evil plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody falls right back in line with it. And I was like,
I don't like that.
Skeletor's not that impressive of a villain that if you spent, and I don't know how long of a span they said that they had between their supposed deaths and what was going on now.
Enough for her homegirl's hair to be complete white, and I always thought she had dark hair.
No, she always had white hair.
I thought her
or
hair
kind
was
of
dark.
a gray or something. The few times I've seen her without the helmet on.
Yeah.
But you didn't do any personal growth, and it showed some personal growth during their adventure to reforge the Power Sword too.
Exactly.
It showed her being better than what she was,
and how devoted she is to magic. I love that.
Yeah, and I actually said I devoted myself to somebody that wasn't good for me, but I did it because I was devoted to magic, and I should have been devoted myself to magic all along.
Yeah. And
to have that happen, and then okay, well, I'm just going to fall back in line. It's like you didn't learn anything.
At all.
You grew, but you didn't have any personal growth.
Yeah,
that's not how that works.
That drives me absolutely nuts. And I know what they were going for with Orko. I still hate Orko. I'm not gonna fake that funk. I'm sorry. He gets on my nerves.
It takes a lot to make like Orko and Snarf likable characters. The tropes for them are just too ingrained. The characters, I hate to say that they're not necessary. She personally grew right back to her old self.
Exactly, Zai. It was a complete circle.
Like that tree doesn't fork; it just goes in a loop.
Yeah.
You have to do something really, really extraordinary to get that character to be likable, because all they were comic relief.
Yeah, and he started it with him being comic relief too, so it's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like, if you want to evolve the character from that, it's not impossible to do, but Mobius strip.
Yeah.
But you've really got to work on showing why that kid, like, have something in the character's backstory that made it like, hey, I didn't mean to be comic relief. This was always stopping me.
Yeah.
And they kind of laid the groundwork for it, and like, I don't think we're done with Orko yet. I think he's gonna come back
in some form, maybe,
and hopefully not be the comic relief again, because I would like to see the character actually develop into its own.
Especially with the way they took him out.
Yeah.
If that had been the way Orko was that whole time, the self-doubt, the ability to use magic, but he always had his parents' voice in his head about how good he was, that to me would have made a lot more sense than the constantly bumbling. Now, don't get me wrong. We were talking about our favorite, he bought the Funko Pop for it. Favorite gummy bear is Zummy Gummy. And one of Zummy Gummy's things is he's bumbling.
I love Zummy.
I love him too. But to have that be a character in a series, well, He-Man wasn't all that serious, I guess.
And unless it's been a while since I've seen the Gummy Bear series. Unless I misremember, he did get a little bit better as time went on.
Yeah.
He actually grew as a wizard.
Yeah.
But you can't, like, you have to show that growth. You can't just
force it in
and be like, oh, and by the way, he's not a goof up anymore, like he's learned from his mistakes. We actually like to see the growth of the character.
And Orko, for me, when he finally did have his final moment, he just showed where he could have been in a better writer's hands. Yeah. He reminded me of why everybody loves Vivi. Because when we first started dating, he would talk to me about Vivi because him and his best friend are huge Final Fantasy IX characters. And I even drew a Vivi sketch from one of his friends, and I had to study because I don't just draw stuff. I have to know what I'm drawing. And the more I learned about Vivi, the more interested I was in him because he wasn't comic relief. I thought Vivi was just there for people to be like a punching bag. Oh, no. And no, he is a sweet character.
Vivi's an awesome character. Yeah. It's one of my favorites. It's like one of the only times I'll actually use like a black mage in the party is because it's Vivi.
Yeah. So I was like, if Orko had been more like Vivi, I think I would have liked Orko. And even when he died, I know Axie was looking at me like cold-blooded woman.
It was like, very cold-blooded.
I was like, okay, he's dead. Let's go.
It was very. She had more sympathy for
Metal Man.
For the Metal Man guy dying just a little bit later on while reforging the sword. Nah, Vivi's sweet, and
I love Vivi.
But yeah, it's like we watched Orko die, and I was into it. I was emotionally invested. I was like, oh, poor little guy's gonna die, and I look over and she was just like, come on, wrap it up, and I was like, you monster. And then the metal guy died, and it too was very emotionally touching and stuff, and she was just like, that poor metal man. And I was like, you had more sympathy for the robot that had no emotion than the guy.
He died feeling.
That we just got a very emotional backstory for. What is wrong with you?
I like that he was like, tell Dad he didn't fail. I felt fear. Yeah. He felt the fear of losing his life. Most sentient AI and stuff like that, they don't have the concept of fearing that. Yeah. According to our standards, we don't know. But to have something that knows it's a construct, think on, feel like I'm going to end and I'm afraid. Yeah. That was touching to me versus Orko, who irked me since a kid.
And Zai, trust me, I know that if you and Cal ever got together to do any kind of a project, I am looking deeply at that project and I am making sure it is not a secret way we can take over the world project. Like, if you guys were ever building a float in a parade, I am looking for the button that turns it into the mega cannon that's going to blow up the building. Okay? Like, you guys, you're like oil and fire. I'm just going to keep you separate. Because while mixing oil and fire is fun, it basically is a disaster
Oh
waiting to
my
happen.
goodness. But for real, I felt like there was a lot of good comic relief.
Somewhere. You keep just like disappearing off camera.
I'm sure.
People want to see you too.
I'm
They're
sure.
not here to see my.
One of the things
Pale
that
whites.
you're so crazy. Oh my goodness. Wow. One of the things I liked about some of the comic relief in the Masters of the Universe as well was just silly things like that one woman and what did they call the Eternian Afterlife?
God, I don't remember. There was it like Low Eternia and then High Eternia?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They had this one woman that she was just nothing but growls, just gravelly growls every time she talked. And then when Adam decided to leave Paradise, basically, to go and help Eternia, she talks in, like, broken English.
Yeah.
And it was like, you knew how to say that whole time, you wench.
Yeah, she knew how to, like, they have this, I don't know if, like, at one point the Sorceress had to become the champion or just what, but she's in there, and all she...
Yeah,
It's like,
kind of like Crazy Cat Lady.
It's like, what did she say? None of us know. We have no idea what she's talking about. She never picked up our language. And then it turns out, like, yeah, she did pick up our language. She probably just didn't want to talk to anybody.
Exactly. So I love little bits of humor like that.
She would do.
Totally. That's
She's
thing.
complaining about it the whole time. I'm sitting there going, that is the exact same thing you would do, so you wouldn't have to talk to people.
It's just crazy, though.
It's actually making it hotter in here.
I know, it's crazy. And I think with what we liked about Masters of the Universe was it was one of those stories that binge watching, we wanted to keep watching it.
Yeah.
So that's always a mark of a good story.
It hit the last episode, and we were like,
exactly, Zai.
I mean, if I don't want to talk to you, I make it seem like I can.
Yeah. That's why I go around with earbuds, especially in places I don't know.
So is that why, like, late at night when we're watching TV, you got your headphones on, you don't really want to talk to me?
No! I'm actually trying to listen to the streams.
Okay, because, you know, I see you wear headphones a lot, and I'm just kind of sitting there with nothing to talk to or nothing.
You stop it. You messing with me. I love my earbuds. It is a way to just cut out the outside world.
Has anybody tried, because I wanted to get... Cal is literally wearing like these old earbuds with the cord and stuff. What was those one brands that we're always seeing advertised?
Raycons?
Raycons. Has anybody ever tried Raycons? Are they actually good? Are they worth the money?
All I've ever seen is sponsored advertising, so my panic button is like, nope. You know, I just like having something in my ear where I can hear stuff that I want to hear, and very funny. You know what I mean, though. That keeps other people out. You know, and I don't want to spend Beats money. You've bought Beats, and you like Beats.
And I will say this: I am done buying Beats. As much as I like them, I just looked at mine today. They are not even. I would say 2 years old, maybe.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2 years old, and the ear cups, because I don't like things going in my ear, are already starting to fray a little bit. So I was like, I had to replace them on previous Beats before, but. The cost for them is not worth it. No. Honestly, I can get the same kind of sound quality for that. So I haven't seen He-Man in like 10 years now to go watch this new show. You guys rock. Thank you for the bits, Aaron.
Thanks for the cheer. But for real,
definitely go watch it. It's on Netflix. I know most everybody has a Netflix account. Hopefully we didn't spoil too much of it for you, but I did put a spoiler in the title, so you have no one to blame but you.
But that's the thing. We are enjoying the stream life, y'all. And there are a lot of shows on Netflix that we've seen that have been pitched to us to watch. And there are a lot of series finales coming up with series premieres coming up to cover it. So, like, when we get back, we'll probably do the Rick and Morty series finale and then the Archer series premiere, because those are getting close together.
Yeah, and then Free Guy, hopefully, from what I read on it, is really good.
Yeah.
and I think it's coming to HBO Max before it goes to like, cause wasn't it like Fox? You can still download it there.
Oh, thank you.
I think because of the deal that Fox Studios had with it, it has to go to HBO Max first before it can go to the Disney Plus and other streaming platforms. So as soon as we see that, we're going to comment on that one too, because I have been waiting for Free Guy ever since I saw the first advertisement for it.
And Ryan Reynolds is just one of our favorites. One of the things I was going to bring up to you was I read something, they did like an article about it, but Ryan Reynolds is big on Twitter, and he said, and he added LeVar Burton, he goes, look, between the years 2013 and 2015, Deadpool was starting to pop off. People were talking about it. They kept saying I was the guy that should play it, but the studio execs didn't see it.
Yeah.
And it was true. For some reason, he even did a clip before they even started to really pitch Deadpool that showed him as the characters, and the studio execs didn't want to do it. And I know they had Green Lantern in their brain for some reason, but he was perfect for Deadpool, and it took fans.
Yeah.
Fans just kept pushing and pushing. He goes, magic happened.
Yeah.
And now this is the role that I was meant for.
Yeah.
He goes, LeVar, a lot of people want you to be the host of Jeopardy, and fans, it's going to be up to you to keep pushing and pushing to see it happen.
And that's the funny thing about that is, I woke up, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Day before? Yeah, it was yesterday. And we saw that the guy that the Jeopardy people had said, this is who we're going to pick for Jeopardy, had stepped down amid controversy.
Yep.
And I did a tweet it's gotten a lot of, it's probably the most liked thing that I've ever tweeted, because I don't Twitter
Much at all. Tweet. Oh my
whatever
God.
it is. Whatever the acceptable verb is. I knew I was going to get her with that one. Whatever the acceptable verb is for Twitter. That, hey, you know who wouldn't have gotten the thing to have to step down because of controversy? LeVar Burton. And it just, people liked it, people have shared it. It's like, if you ask fans of a show, who would you like to see out of these three people, we will tell you who's going to be the best.
Yeah.
And when they said LeVar Burton showed interest in it, I'm pretty sure the whole internet said, yeah.
Anybody our age and up grew up with Reading Rainbow, grew up with Star Trek The Next Generation. We have seen LeVar Burton in his best roles. I watched Roots, which was hard.
Yeah.
That was a hard series to get through. But he was so good in it. He is a good actor, but every role, you know, he gives himself into it, and he loves knowledge. One of the things that I loved about watching Reading Rainbow was just how gentle and how much he stressed that, you know, reading opens up your world, but everybody reads at a different level.
Yeah.
And he never made you feel bad if you weren't.
And the thing I've loved about Reading Rainbow is anybody can read you a story, anybody can guide you through a story. When you watch LeVar Burton do it, you get to feel the story he's telling you.
Yeah.
Like, very few people can actually make you feel a story, and he did it every single week.
It's kind of like when parents, like, with Kiddo, one of the books you bought him was Pow Pow Fish.
Yeah.
Still one of his favorite books. But to read it to him, I was like, you don't just read stories to a kid. You want them to really get into the story. So you do voices, and you get the kid into the story. And that's what he did. And I mimicked a lot of that. And whenever you have a kid and you're reading a story, they're more into it when you're animated.
You mean Heath.
Bring it. Yeah.
I think you mean Heath, Aaron, not Keith.
Yeah, Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, but they
not
probably...
Heath Ledger.
It probably...
Dumbass.
You calm down. Oh my gosh.
I haven't had a chance to make fun of Aaron in years.
Goodness.
I gotta take the opportunity. He's just lucky he's not in the same cell booth kiosk as me anymore.
But anyway, Maniac, you do realize that autocorrect correct stuff.
I do know that, but that's not any excuse.
Oh,
He's worked with me long enough. He knows.
Wow, y'all. Well, ball busting aside.
If you want to know what it's like working with me, Aaron, was that just not like working with me just now?
Good
Because
Lord.
that's exactly what you get.
Thank you, Zai. That's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Just that side of...
I can't hear you over the laughter. Sorry.
Oh, good Lord. I can't with you. But yeah, it's so nice to live in.
You'll say, you know what I meant.
And
We did know what, Aaron,
exactly.
and I'm just busting your balls, man. I don't mean any of it.
I love that we do live in a day and age where we have so many actors that fit a role, though.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky.
And that's the thing that irritates. Everybody gives, and even Ron Reynolds has given himself crap over his Green Lantern role.
Yeah, I don't think
the
it was.
The fault was not Ryan Reynolds. The fault there was they didn't do the effects right. They didn't have a great story.
And he was the wrong Lantern.
And he was the wrong Lantern. He should not have been Hal Jordan. He should have been Kyle Rayner.
That role was made for Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion needs to be Hal Jordan. Kyle Rayner needs to be Ryan Reynolds. And as far as I'm concerned, they can. John Diggle can be John Stewart. As far as I'm concerned, I love Diggle from Arrow.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make that little swap, I'd be okay with that.
Exactly.
But because I know they were hinting at that in some of the later Arrow stuff. But if not, I mean, you can find some way to play John Stewart. That's not a type-casted role there or anything like that.
And there are plenty of good actors that could step into the... We could even see Michael B. Jordan. He crisscrosses everywhere.
Also, Michael B. Jordan, I was thinking of the guy that played Lando Calrissian as John Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
I think he might do good.
Yeah. Blanking on his name. I listen to his music, too. He's in Atlanta. It'll come to me.
Yeah.
But it's just like... I cannot stand that people give him, and he gives himself crap for it, but the whole idea of Green Lantern is based on their personalities. And Ryan Reynolds, while he can do serious roles, like he did a great job of Detective Pikachu of balancing both that comedy side and that tender father side. I loved him in that, but I just didn't see him as Hal. Hal always had that more studious, I'm a soldier, I was in the Air Force type personality, and then as he unleashed the Green Lantern persona, sometimes he did quirky things, but he was always more of a serious guy.
Yeah. Now, Aaron, I'll fight you on the Hayden as Vader. Because that was just bad. He wrecked that character. And I will give you this.
I think it was Lucas.
I have watched movies with Hayden Christensen in it where he did play a good character, but it always goes downhill toward the end of it. So I don't know if that's him or if that's the movies he's choosing to play in. But I think they really missed the right way to do Anakin Skywalker. So he gets 50% of the blame from me because he chose to play the character, and the studio gets the other 50%. But I'll fight you on that.
Yeah. Lobo movie would be awesome.
I used to love Darth Vader, and now I can't stand him because I know what he's like on the inside.
I just hate that they took the movies that we grew up with and then digitally put Homeboy in them. Yeah. It's like that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I hate that. I get so angry because I can enjoy the entire trilogy except for like the last 10 minutes of Jedi because I know Hayden Christensen's coming. And it's like, nobody else got younger. If they would have done it to everybody, I'd have no issue. I would sit back, I would shut up, I wouldn't say a thing. But nobody else got younger. Nobody else got that little
weird digital
or anything like that. And I get it if you did it because you didn't know who Anakin Skywalker was. So like the first time I saw it, I was like, who was that? But then my brain put it together. I was like, oh, that must be what he looks like outside the Darth Vader suit.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have just done like a flicker, like, hey, this is Anakin Skywalker, and then it went back to the actor that actually played the character, because I think that's a big middle finger to that guy.
Yeah.
I was like, because who knows? Who knows him now? Nobody. He did a whole role, and they just, we're going to draw in this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it irritates me.
It
but
really
yeah, I would love to see a Lobo movie.
Me too.
I think that would be awesome.
I honestly think that DC Universe needs to get away from, if they want to be edgy, they got edgy characters with Lobo.
Yeah, They have their campy characters and they have their darker characters.
Yeah, stop trying to make Superman Batman. That pisses me off so badly. Oh, we've got to make him grittier. No, you don't. No. Superman's whole appeal, and this is a hill I will die on, is that he is good with power that could make most people go bad.
Yeah.
With Superman being such a bastion of good, he does make other superheroes check themselves sometimes. He is the galactic Boy Scout. And for them to constantly be like, no, we just need to make him edgy. We need to make him able to kill somebody. That has never been his thing, because the men who wrote Superman wanted somebody, because of what they went through with the Holocaust, to represent good and power in the face of evil.
Mm-hmm.
That would never cross that line, because they realized how precious life is. They came from a place where they seen people using life as disposable. And honestly, Clark could have. Thanks for the follow.
Predicted. Thank you so much for that follow.
Thank you. The thing that we loved about Superman is the fact that even with his powers, he always was mindful of hurting people, of making sure that he didn't overdo it. And I see a lot of people trying to reinvent Superman, and if it's done well, like I like the Justice series.
Yeah.
I like the whole Superman going totalitarianism, because it was a what if. It wasn't like this is how Superman's going to end up.
Yeah, this was more of a. I was actually just going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like this. We laughed. We did that the other night. We both of us were going to do a reference, and she did it like 1 second before I did, and I was like, "That's why I love you, because you get it. We're right here, even though we're not on the same level height wise."
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, that is a very good story of it could happen to Superman. If Superman was pushed to this point, this could happen, but that only works in a different universe. It doesn't work in our universe, because people don't want to see it. As much as people want to see it, they don't want that to happen.
Exactly.
It's like when they made Captain America Hydra agent.
Yeah. Oh,
I was like, yeah. I at first I rallied against it. I read the story. It is a good story, but when they did it and how they did it,
it was like
wrong
already
place, wrong time.
Stab to the heart, because our country felt like it was falling apart.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to see in comics is the one person that stands for good be evil.
Yeah.
It's just not okay right now.
And like I said, it is a good story, but they should have waited. They should have handled it differently. They should have done something better than, hey, this is happening now and you guys just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the fact that in the Injustice games they actually do that, and I think they're coming out with an animated movie version of that, which is going to be nice to see, because if you don't want to play the games and you just want to experience that story of Superman losing his mind, kinda, we're going to get to enjoy that.
What I liked about, because you got me the graphic novels a few years back, what I liked about it was the bad guys really didn't feel like bad guys anymore.
Yeah.
They were actually setting up safe havens. Like Poison Ivy had a whole oasis where everybody that lived in there had bountiful harvests, were taken care of. She wasn't turning them into plants. Yeah. You had even the Joker doing right by people. Because Superman being totalitarian.
Well, in that universe, the Joker's dead.
Oh, okay. It must
be a little bit of a different one, or
yeah.
Because in the game, our Joker ends up going to that universe.
Yeah.
But in that universe, Superman puts his fist right through him. So,
yeah.
And let's say, could not happen to a nicer guy.
Yeah. There was a lot of nuance there, where it was like, well, the heroes are completely shutting down anything, so we might as well use our abilities, like Luthor and all of them, to just have our own areas.
Yeah. And Zai's right. Poison Ivy is not like...
She isn't.
When they brought her into the Batman animated series, it started out that way, but she did this slow fade into, hey, as long as you're not screwing with Mother Nature won't have to screw with you. And I like that role for her.
Yeah.
Because it shows that what she is actually concerned about. She's concerned about nature. She's concerned about the state of the world. It's not like the bad Batman and Robin. Was it Batman and Robin? Or was
it was Batman and Robin. I tried not to think about it. That whole Uma Thurman, Poison Ivy thing. And it's like I said, I get it. Most of the people in Gotham, good, bad, or in between, have some messed up childhoods. So having Pamela have a cold, depressive, or even abusive background makes sense. But she just wants to protect the environment.
Yeah.
All her powers are based on taking care of nature. And even when she was using her powers to seduce people, it was either to make sure that they didn't harm nature, or to make sure that they listened to her, to make sure that the things around her didn't get damaged. And that's why I loved her in Poison Ivy.
Yeah, and that Harley Quinn. Yeah, in the Harley Quinn show, they nailed the personality just perfect. She doesn't care about robbing banks or doing crime just to do crime. She wants to do stuff to help the planet.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a crossover between her meeting like Captain Planet and just losing her mind.
Exactly. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. Who owns Captain Planet?
I am not sure. I thought it was Turner Broadcasting for a while, but that got sold out.
Yeah.
So I have no
I'm wondering,
idea.
does anybody know, is DC or Marvel have the ownership of Captain Planet, and like why aren't we seeing more of that? I used to love the old Captain Planet cartoon growing up. I thought it was like one of those Saturday morning cartoons I had to see every week.
It was all right. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't, with all the animation that we had as a kid, it wasn't on the top tier list. But when it was on, I'd watch.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted a Geo Cruiser.
Yeah.
I wanted the fact that they had a plane that could fly and it was all solar powered.
Yeah.
I loved everything about that.
And see, I was so into, by then, I was into like Voltron and those series.
Oh, yeah.
That was like my main focus.
Oh yeah, Voltron, Transformers,
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. Though, if if any more shows get remade, because there are a few shows, and I hate when people remake shows off of old shows.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it because they never do it right. Thundercats Roar, that guy, while he says he's a fan, because I saw the interview, he goes, "Oh, I was a big fan of the show. You need to be
Tarred and feathered.
You need to stop." Because that is not what you do with Thundercats. You don't make it a Teen Titans Go. I thought you were going to do a legit show, and I got excited for a second, and then you gave me Teen Titans Go with Thundercats, and now I'm mad.
Yep. And then they've got shows that were really horrible for us as kids, like Silverhawks.
Yeah.
Like I said, loved the theme to that show, hated the show.
Yeah.
But it's being remade, so I'm going to give it a chance to see if maybe they'll actually give it a story.
Yeah, and that's the thing I like to see. Like Gummy Bears could be redone.
Yeah.
Because that had a pretty decent story, and it's just when they started to go.
One caveat is that we were trying to get the Funko Pops, and we noticed that characters missing that shouldn't.
Let me get the box here.
Yeah. Because it's like, if you're going to do Gummy Bears, I want all the Gummy Bears. You can't leave out.
So here's everybody that is on the back of the Gummy Bear box that is available. These are all the Funko Pop Gummy Bears that they produced. Where's Grammy?
Exactly.
Where's Grammy?
Oh, Deacon TBS. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Aaron.
Deacon TBS? Okay.
I thought it was Turner.
Yeah, I figured it was Turner, but I figured Marvel or DC would have bought it at some point.
That it's Turner is a good thing because HBO Max has bought a lot of Turner properties.
Yes, I know they do them in waves, but this is like a older wave because all of these were available on Amazon for like under $10. So while they're not like vaulted and hard to get, they've had time to do Granny, and Granny is not even. I was just on the website looking, and Granny's not even on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you doing everybody but Granny?
She makes the gummy berry juice.
Yeah.
And I know that the woman who did her voice is no longer with us. She was getting up there when we were kids. But she's still like the heart of the group. And I'm just like, I get afraid when they redo series.
Disney just needs to buy DC and make a MDDCCU.
Yeah. I would love to see a crossover. And we're looking forward to Black Adam for real. You know, because we liked Shazam. I was nervous about Shazam because it was like, after watching the I'm gonna say the wrong name for that Superman movie, the one where he murders somebody. I hate it.
That's Man of Steel.
Man of Steel movie. I wasn't gonna give DC Universe another chance. I've already had like a weird history with DC Comics as it is, because as much as I loved a lot of DC heroes, especially the Batman series almost completely took me out of DC Universe because of what they did to Jason Todd. I was a kid when they did the Jason Todd line. I remember getting the comic where they asked you to call in a number to decide his fate, and I thought as a kid, there's no way they're really going to do this.
Oh yeah, they did it.
And they did it. And then you got the next comic where he gets killed, and my child brain was like, no, I'm not okay with this. I don't think fans should vote to have a child murdered, basically, because they didn't like him.
Well, I think that just went to show that people don't understand the consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
Like they say, oh, haha, yeah, well, just because we don't like this character, and it's doesn't mean kill him off. I mean, you can write him out. You can just have it be where
Bruce sends him away, or
he just says, "You know what?
away.
I don't want to do this anymore," and he just leaves.
Yeah.
No, Joker beats him with a crowbar. It's like
to death, and
that's
I
a
know
harsh punishment.
it really is. And for them to have involved the fans in it, for the longest time, I was done with DC Comics. I did not collect DC Comics for years after that. I went right to Marvel because for me, the comics that spoke to me better were the X-Men. You know, I know a lot of kids of color, especially, that felt that way because it was good to see stories where people were being persecuted for who they were, but still being human.
Yeah.
They were more human than some of the humans they were up against.
Yeah.
So I love that about X-Men. I'm excited about hopefully seeing X-Men in the MCU now because I feel like the writers have more leeway with it now too. It's not just going to be about merchandise, which I get. Merchandise is a big thing, and I think Fox leaned a bit too heavily on that instead of developing a story with these characters that a lot of us grew up loving.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see how the MCU handles the X-Men because they were a big part of my life.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff like we grew up with, like Transformers, that was based off a toy line. They made the show to sell the toys.
Yeah.
They didn't have a show and then said, okay, let's make some toys off this. No, they came up with the toys and said, okay, let's make a cartoon to basically advertise these things.
Yeah.
And some of that programming has a better story than some of the stories we're getting in cartoons now.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you need to reverse that? You need to come up with a good story and then make it. Did they get X-Men? They got, if I'm not mistaken, they got everything that Fox owned.
Yep.
Is now owned by Disney because they bought the entirety of their studio.
Yeah, Fox didn't want to do a crossover or something. There was something they were jamming up, and Disney was like, look, we really want to use this Marvel property. Fox kept saying no. Disney stepped in, $70 billion, bought all the IP back.
Yeah, because they were trying to work out a deal like they did with Sony. Sony and Marvel got a deal where they could use Spider-Man. Because up to that point, they couldn't do anything Spider-Man related.
Yeah.
Because Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man and all the Spider-Man
Blame Quesada.
So what Disney was trying to do was, hey, Fox, we want to do a similar deal with you where we'll do some movies with the X-Men. That's why in like a lot of the movies that they've done, you don't get mutants mentioned. Like Deadpool was the first one to ever actually have it say mutant.
That's because it was
they
done to
did,
Fox.
like, was it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
They did Enhanced.
Yeah.
Like in the Age of Ultron movie, Cap goes, oh, we got an Enhanced in the field. They were very careful. They had to be very precise on what they said because they couldn't use the term mutant.
Yeah.
Which, with Deadpool, I just think they said, screw it, we're just going to do it anyway.
Yeah. But Deadpool technically wasn't part of the MCU either, so Fox Studios could do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's right, because that's the,
Yeah.
I got, that's why I keep her around. So, after a bunch of times of them not actually...
Yup.
Anastasia's, definitely a Disney princess. But then again, so is...
Sure is a Disney princess. There's a few Disney princesses now.
Technically, I think so is Loki and Thor.
Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is...
But eventually what they did is they said, okay, screw you. If you won't work with us, we're just going to buy your whole studio. So now your studio is our studio, which gave them all the creative rights to everything that Fox owned.
Yeah, and Fox owned a lot of the Marvel IPs because back in the 90s, and I'm putting the blame on Quesada because he was the head guy in charge of everything. They did a lot of idiotic things. A lot of it was those cover variants.
Yeah.
There were way too many variants of issues. It devalued the whole system. Mm-hmm. And there was a big comic crash. And because of that, Marvel went bankrupt and had to sell a lot of their IPs.
Yep.
So Sony smartly grabbed Spider-Man,
yep.
and Fox Studios grabbed the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and a lot of other IPs. So that's why it's so weird, like seeing movies like Venom being made without Spider-Man, and having a series of X-Men movies that have no tie into the Marvel Universe when they're literal. I'm sitting on a bunch of X-Men Avenger crossover books.
Yeah.
You know? Those were the two teams that always teamed up.
And that's the thing that really, it doesn't make sense. Is like you would think as a studio or as a property, you would want to make money off things that you own. So why wouldn't you want to work with somebody
that knows how to make the money?
Like Sony, they've made a ton of money off of this version of Spider-Man that the MCU has done.
Billions.
They can't use it
Yeah.
themselves because, like they said, like Tom Holland has said, I'll continue to play the role, but my contract is with this agreement.
Yeah.
So he can't do the same character. He can still play Spider-Man, but it's going to be a different Spider-Man than the one from the MCU.
Which would suck.
Which is going to confuse a lot of people, which is why I think Sony was like looking to actually get somebody different, and I was like, don't you dare.
I
was like,
won't watch it.
He's perfect Spider-Man. I will boycott it just on principle.
Yep.
And what would be funny is if they like just stick it to him, if they have, if Marvel actually goes back and says, okay, you're going to do another movie, but from now on you're known as Night Monkey, because that's what he was known as Far From Home.
Yeah. And my thing is, Sony does have room to do Spider variants. Yeah. If they don't want to work with Disney anymore, they could bring Miles Morales in. They could bring in Spider-Gwen.
They actually can't because they own all of the Spider-Man.
I'm not talking about the MCU, D. I said if Sony wanted to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, no.
I missed that part.
Yeah, no.
Forgive me.
It's okay. I was like, wait a minute, huh?
I thought you were talking about Marvel.
No, I would love it because Marvel has shown, even though it's not perfect because it's under Disney and they've made some stupid mistakes like firing James Gunn and then realizing that they need to hire him back because only he can make obscure characters lovable. But they're not a perfect company, but they have made bangers. And when I say bangers, they made it where 10 years, we emotionally invested 10 years in a series of movies to get that payoff in Endgame. I've never, and I've been a comic book fan since I was like 8. I've never devoted myself to a series that long. I have several series
sure
in the closet.
With a comic book.
Yeah.
Or a Transformer in my hand. I can't remember. I was nerdy right out of the gate.
Yeah. And it's just like they have the ability to write stories to bring people in. And you're right, Aaron, about black characters too, because for the longest time, it was hard to see characters that look like us in roles that were serious, that weren't just the side characters. And when they brought Black Panther to the screen, I was able to take my son on opening day, and I don't normally do opening day movies. I've only done it twice. Once for Deadpool, because we did that Valentine's Day thing, and then once for Black Panther, and both times it was worth it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the MCU showed that diversity can be a thing, that you can have characters and roles that don't look like the standard issue and make them lovable, and people want to see more of them. And what pisses me off about the DCU is they did that well in Shazam.
Yeah.
I love those characters in Shazam. They have talent. They're talking about, oh, we need to revamp Wonder Woman because 1984 wasn't good. Bring in Homegirl, Nubia.
Yeah.
I want a Nubia series. Bring her in. You will fill those seats. You've seen what Jason Momoa did for Aquaman.
Yeah, and the great thing is, getting back to He-Man, is the first He-Man, the first
Grayskull.
Was a black character.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Me
I was
too.
like, I know they like, I don't know a lot about the mythos. Most of my stuff is from the TV series and stuff, so I don't know in the comics if they've ever referenced him before.
Yeah.
But when I saw him on there, I was like, oh, he was the first. You know, he's the person that, you know, by the power of Grayskull, that's who they're talking about.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
It did not bother me, did not...
Exactly, Zai.
What
She's out with to see Aquaman if it
wasn't for Jason Momoa, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have gone bad. Can you imagine if they would have done it in this? I'm doing this as a joke. I'm not saying anything against Neil Patrick Harris, but can you imagine if they had Neil Patrick Harris play in Aquaman?
Well, Aquaman's always the punchline for people because they go by like the 60s version or like even the one on Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
He's just
very
so
punchable. Yeah,
he's such a douche. So I like that they have somebody like Jason Momoa who is an Islander.
Yeah, I honestly think Neil Patrick Harris would have done a good job on it. I just went with the first blonde actor I could think of.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been funny to actually see him as that. But I liked him as, there was a rumor he was going to play the Riddler for a bit, and I thought Yeah.
That would work.
Yeah, I could see him as the Riddler.
Oh, and it makes me mad. We found out about the canceled Batman series before they did that horrible Batman and Robin that had fucking Robin Williams.
Tim Burton was going to do one more Batman movie, and it was going to have Robin Williams as the Riddler. And I was just like...
It would have been perfect.
No, we could... No,
I want to go to the multiverse where that movie happened, because I bet all the awesome that we missed out on, 2020 probably wouldn't have happened in that multiverse.
Yeah, I bet you there was no COVID in that multiverse either.
Yeah, because Robin Williams had the personality that could have really brought the Riddler, because the Riddler had comedy style, but he was subtle about it. And he had like that tragic, it was Robin Williams perfectly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so mad that we didn't get... First of all, we were supposed to see Selena Kyle again. And Michelle Pfeiffer really did the job in that role.
Oh, yeah. Those are my favorite two Batman movies.
Yeah.
You got the original Batman, you get Batman Returns, and then I skip... Well, I give Val Kilmer a little bit of leeway on his, because I don't think his was...
It wasn't that bad,
but it wasn't like... It totes that line. So I give Val Kilmer's Batman a little bit of leeway on that one.
It's just his voice makes me laugh because of college humor.
I just jump right into the Dark Knight series after that.
Yeah.
And that's not counting like the animated series, because of course I love the animated series with Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and all that, and everything like that. But it's such a weird cinematic multiverse, and stuff they did to characters that wasn't like. Did you not read the source material?
Exactly. But even changes that we like that they just completely took out, like having Billy D. Williams as James Gordon actually was good.
Yeah.
And Homeboy was trying to bring him back.
He was Harvey Dent.
Oh, Harvey Dent, yeah. Having a lot of people say we were looking for him to play Two-Face.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see that angle.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
I think they actually did, though, in the animated comic. Or in
animated.
In an animated movie. I think there was the one where... what was it? I can't remember. I think he did voice Harvey Dent again, animated-wise.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what movie it was off of.
But it makes me mad when you have a director that actually cares enough about the intellectual property but is creative enough to give it its own take, and then they fire them because whatever. And the people that they get to fill always miss the mark. They did it with The Walking Dead. The original guy, while, big budget, I loved the first season of The Walking Dead because it felt like I was watching the comic books in life form.
Yeah.
I loved the way he kept it black and white to do the nod. I loved the way the characters were, and then it variated. And then they changed a bunch of character personalities, and you seen where they were trying to go for symbolism. And it was like, you know what? It's a zombie story. Stop it.
Yeah.
And it's always when they fire people who actually care enough about the IP to try to keep it as close as possible. But it's hard on the budget, and they get these guys, I can make it cheaper and make it more dynamic, and they mess up the storyline. Yeah. I'm just tired of seeing
Game of Thrones. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
And you haven't seen it either, have you?
I just wasn't.
Yeah, neither one of us has seen.
I want the books to be finished.
I wanted to read the books before I watched the series.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, the first series pretty much like the first season, pretty much first book, and it's pretty much identical.
Yeah.
It's like I get that you try not to follow the source material exactly, because then people are like, well, they can just do this. I was like, do you guys understand that sometimes I would like to experience a story that I don't have to read? Like, hey, you know what? I would like to reread the story, and I've done it before. If I like a story and I want to reread the book, I'll reread the book. But it's easier to sit down and experience a story in an hour and a half for a movie or an episode or something like that than it is to sit down and read 500 to 600 pages.
Yeah.
So
it's like that with anime. One of the things that I griped about with Sailor Moon is my favorite anime of all time was I love the uncut Japanese version, but it veered so much away from the books that it takes you out of it if you're not devoted to the series. What I liked about Crystal was it followed the manga. It didn't follow it completely, but it followed it close enough to where it was like, yes, this is the way I felt when I read the books. I want to see more of it. I want to see more, like Full Metal Alchemist. I like both series, but I love Brotherhood way more than the original series now because it's a lot less filter and it's closer to the manga, which I read.
Yeah, we know they had to veer because they were running out of source material because he hasn't finished that last book yet.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but they veered like way off early on. Like from what I've heard and what I understand about it is that last season, like nobody wanted anything to do with the show. I was like, you could have just said, hey, you know what? We're just gonna put it on a cliffhanger. We'll come back and film this last season once the last book is done. Then we can finish it all up. I think the fans would have waited for it. I think they would have waited for a quality thing other than just give us an ending to the story.
Yep.
Because he's come out and said the ending of the book is not going to match the series.
If he ever gets to it.
But, yeah.
And that's the thing. The dream...
There's no last season ends on a cliffhanger. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sometimes I have to make up what I'm talking about, Zai. And if you say cliffhanger, I'll agree with cliffhanger.
Yeah. The Dream Saga I liked about Sailor Moon. I just felt like there was a lot of unnecessary filler. DIC just didn't want to wait for the next chapter to get out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion on what's canon and what's not. What I hate is that it feels like Nakoto really wants to see her story animated properly. And it never is. We never get Stars over here.
Yeah.
Stars is where you really see all of the sailors go through tragedy and then triumph over it. And I'm so pissed that, once again, we're denied that season. And I know they did a movie, and I'm going to watch the movie eventually. I'm just not emotionally ready for it.
2 movies.
Yeah, I'm not emotionally ready for that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm getting robbed again.
Yeah.
We didn't get the original Stars here in America. The only way to get Stars now is to buy it on Blu-ray and stuff. We never got it officially released over here. And it really pales in comparison to the real story. So I was hoping that Crystal would get all of their seasons and we would get Stars the way it was done in the manga, and it pisses me off that once again we're getting denied that, because I felt like anybody who thought Sailor Moon wasn't a character to take seriously, by the end of Stars, you either really loved that story or you hated it, and I loved it because you've seen her character grow. You've seen her go from a young girl with way too much power and no way to handle it to somebody willing to sacrifice her entire life to save the cosmos.
Yeah.
And that is why she's the hero she is. And I felt like we're being denied that again. And I hate, that's one of the things I'm afraid of as a writer, is having these big corporations have the rights to my work and tell me that they're going to do the interpretation of what I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad because I've seen what she wrote. I have every single issue of Sailor Moon. I love the way it ended. And I would love to see that animated one day. And I don't think it's going to happen in her lifetime. You know,
I think it might. I just think it's finding the right people that will back it and get it done so that she can have that.
I hope
and I think
so.
she keeps getting a good head start on it.
Yeah.
And then stuff comes up where it's like, okay, we're not going to do this because of this reason, and it's just like you got to get somebody that's going to just see it right through till the end.
And that's passionate about it. And I know a lot of fans were like,
her.
"Oh, definitely. If I can invest in it and get it done, I would." I know a lot of fans was like, "Well, we don't like it because of the art style." The art style mirrored the manga. One of the things that was harder for me to watch the old anime was because it looked so cartoonish, where manga style is flowing. They actually look like real little girls, and when they turn into sailors, they look like full-grown superhero females.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like while I loved the old anime, it was missing that element.
Yeah.
Crystal gave me that element, and I just really wanted to see it done to the end, and it wasn't.
Yeah, Code Lyoko was very
that was
good.
Really good.
That was something that it fell away off my watch list for some reason, and I think it was just because Toonami kept moving it around.
Yeah.
But that was a really good series that it went away, and then when I did catch it again, voices were different and stuff was not working the way it was supposed to. But that seems like one of the shows I like to see that I would like to see them either pick up and finish or do a re-release of and just do it from scratch and start episode 1 was Big Guy and Rusty.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to turn that into we'll do that into another show where we talk about shows that we would like to see redone, stuff we would like to see done on it.
Yeah.
Things that we would like to see them actually come back and finish, than just letting it languish and not getting an actual
And
ending
even
for
shows that gave us an ending, but we could see where they could go from it. Because, like, one of the shows you had me watch with you that we both liked, the hero is really reluctant. I could see a season 2 of that if
Yeah.
they wanted to, but they ended it like a lot of Japanese shows do, where it's open ended,
Yeah.
where you can interpret how the characters go on or choose not to go on.
Yeah.
So I do like the series, but it's kind of like, well,
It's the hero's overpowered.
yeah, hero overpowered but reluctant, right?
No, the hero is extremely cautious.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's cautious hero, I think, is what it's actually, they've shortened it to.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty funny. You can watch it on Funimation, and I think
A lot of pandering, though.
Hulu, and a lot of fan service.
Yeah.
So it's not real heavy in the beginning part of it, but toward the middle and the end, there is a lot of fan service going on there.
Yeah. But the story is
Dragon Ball Super. That's gonna carry itself. That was just phenomenal. That
yeah.
was,
I love the people who are
they
writing
started it, and then it just took off, and it hasn't come down yet. They're still doing mangas for it. They're still doing video game stuff for it. They're still doing. I think the next animated wave is coming out here pretty soon. So that doesn't need any.
I was just
any boosting
telling
from us at all.
I was just telling him, I really want to rewatch the tournament now. Now that I know how everything wrapped up, it's not going to have the same punch. But I went in it not having high expectations because I came from the DBZ days where fights lasted way too long. It was done well.
Yeah.
I love the character development in Super. Everybody but Chi-Chi. And we're going to do an episode where we talk about Chi-Chi one of these days because she gets on my nerves. But I just like that it makes sense. Even Broly, I am a huge Broly fan now.
Oh yeah, that Broly movie that they did, I like it way more than the first Broly.
Yup.
The first Broly I got, okay, it's just a Saiyan Rage monster. That's great, but why? Why? The whole he kept them up when he was a kid and stuff. No, that doesn't make any sense. This redo that they did, phenomenal. I love that character. He is my new favorite Saiyan because I get it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it actually is not, hey, Saiyans are jerks. No, they're not. They just had jerky things done to them.
Yup.
And
Chi-Chi doesn't make sense to me because she was a fighter. So she understands the need for martial arts. She's been a mother. She's seen the world go to crap several times. She is the only one who hasn't developed as a character at all.
Yeah.
And it's not even comic relief at this point. It's just like, just kill her off. Goku and all of them would be better without her. And I cannot stand that because I want to like Chi-Chi. I used to like Chi-Chi.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like, what does Goku see in her other than the fact that she feeds him?
Yeah. I loved them when they were younger. When she was chasing him, she had that drive. She had the intelligence.
Yeah, and it's like, and even in the what was this? I think it was the Lord Slug movie. You get to see her actually fight for a second. It's not a big fight, but it shows that she will throw down to protect her family and stuff. I was like, why are you not like? Why are you not like putting money toward a thing of, hey, my husband and my sons protect the world, and I started a service that's what we do is we protect the planet, and that's how you make your money.
Or even working with her alleged best friend, Bulma.
Yeah.
You see how Bulma is working with Trunks, working with her husband. You would think that Chi-Chi would be, since they try to push that she's calculating, would be like, okay, I'm going to work with you.
Yeah, they could have started.
And started an enforcement.
They had like the Z Fighters. They could have started a global defense force and be training other people how to fight because they're not always going to be around. And since Goku likes to fight, he could fight all these people and train them. But it's like, she gets the Sakura treatment.
Yeah, it just it bothers me, and it's like that's the only gripe I have with Supers that I hope they fix one day, because it's like she's the only character I can't stand to see.
Yeah.
And it kills me because I'm watching the family development. I love the Bulma and Vegeta dynamic. I love Android 18. She is like hands down my favorite of the wives, and it just feels like when you put those two next to Chi-Chi and Pan too.
Yeah.
Pan is just like, look, I'm a human. I like to fight. I learned how to fight, but I know deep down I'm a human. I'm going to take care of my daughters. I am married to a strong man. I'm going to build him up.
You're thinking Videl.
Videl,
Pan's
Videl.
their daughter.
Pan's their daughter, I like the way they're realistic with Videl. And it pisses me off that when you even pair her versus Chi-Chi, Chi-Chi just has no excuse for the way she's written.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, she says it.
Yeah. But that I'm telling you, we could go for hours on anime. We're probably gonna have to do another anime special. Just
Yeah, we're
because
probably
of it.
just gonna have to one day where we just sit down and we just talk shows with everybody.
Yeah, but this was good. I'm shocked the teenager hasn't come pacing yet.
Oh, he's probably sitting right outside the door.
Like,
When are you going to feed me, mother? It is the feeding time. Yet there is no food in my belly.
you're so cute. Okay, y'all. But we are going to get ready to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week, probably on my channel, to discuss things.
We alternate channels until that gets like too confusing and you guys want us to just say, hey, nail it down to one channel. Just let us know what channel you want it on so that we can do that. But right now we just alternate weeks so that way each of our channels get a bit of exposure for this.
Yeah.
So this week it was my turn. Next week it will be Cal's turn, and I will put her link up in the chat here.
Yeah.
So if you guys aren't following her, why not?
They're all fun.
Tell me why. Why would you not? I follow her from room to room.
Oh, good Lord. He really does. Sometimes he sticks his toes underneath the doors when they're closed.
Every time she goes to the bathroom, I'm like a puppy and I stick my foot kind of underneath the door. So then I wait for her to go, why are you doing that?
It just reminds me of kiddo. When my son was a toddler, he did that too. And it's like,
I just want you to know I'm there to support you.
oh, good Lord. I can't with you.
While you're dropping the news.
Oh. All right, y'all. He's trying to get himself murdered today.
Wait, we will see everybody. You're doing your stream tomorrow, right? For your
Yeah, just Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep. So she'll be doing her Dungeons and Dragons stream tomorrow. I am going to be doing yard work, and then I am just going to play some video games to get some side stuff done. But I will be back on Monday for Mario Monday.
Yep. If you have any codes or want us to do a level, you can drop it in the Discord. You get priority play. That means you'll be first in line in the queue.
Which means everybody that comes in and tries to give me levels right away, you get to be like, no, back of the line with you. I'm first.
I can't.
I am first. You are second. I am first. And right now, I just checked. There's nobody in the Discord right now, so you could be the very first person if you had.
If you have a maker level, just put it right in the Discord.
Yeah, there's nobody in there. You could be number one in line, ready to go. Yeah.
And pretty soon, once we figure out the Twitter voice thing, we will be trying the guest route for a lot of our shows. So if you would like to be a guest and you have an interesting topic or just want to shoot the breeze with us, let us know. We're going to work on that.
Interesting topic need not apply. We will provide the topic if you cannot. You may not like it, though.
He's a mess, y'all. All right, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will put this on his YouTube.
Yeah, this will be on my YouTube probably tomorrow. I got nothing else. I can't think of anything else I got to say.
Nope.
We did all the proper stuff on there. Is there anybody that we can rate?
Let's see.
Can we rate anybody? Is anybody live?
There should be.
Anybody live?
Let's see. We got Kilky.
Kilky, we can rate Kilky.
I think that's the only person I know on your list right now.
We're rating Kilky. Woo!
She is a very sweet person, y'all. You will definitely like Kilky Cat. She's playing Phasmophoria, which I've watched Ziana play. It's one of my favorites to watch her.
Yeah, so I should get a kick out of it. But we will see you all later. Have a great rest of your night, everybody, and please stay safe.
Thank you.
If you have to go out, even if you're fully vaccinated, please wear your mask. There are way too many people going into the hospital right now. So please, 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 please be careful.
Please be safe. Or just be introverts like us and stay home.
Yeah, stay shut in. It's amazing.
Indoors.
Ladle.
That was awesome. I had so much fun.
That follow, that was a bot because it didn't go up. I was at 192 earlier, so that was just a bot.
Aww.
I hate that.
That makes me sad.
Wow.
Kilky. I should have kept the phone on Twitch too, because then I would have been able to raid with y'all.
Right.
But I'm always afraid that it's gonna come across on the stream too.